I never thought my life would explode over one phone call from my little sister. You know how people say they just knew something was wrong, deep in their gut? Yeah, that was me the moment I picked up. Her voice was shaking, and all she said was, "Clark, I saw something. I think Ashlyn's cheating on you." I actually laughed. I let out this awkward half-laugh because I thought she was joking. Ashlyn, my wife. No way. We'd been married 6 years. We were solid, or so I thought. That one sentence. It flipped my whole world upside down. Because what Lily saw, and what I found out later, didn't just destroy my marriage. It wrecked everything I thought I knew about loyalty, family, and trust. Let me ask you something. What would you do if the two people you loved and trusted the most stabbed you in the back at the same time? Not just one. Two. Your best friend and your own brother. Drop a yes or no in the comments if you think you could ever forgive someone after that kind of betrayal. I really want to know what you'd do in my shoes. And hey, if stories like this hit you in the gut the way they hit me, go ahead and tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. There's a lot more where this came from. My name's Clark Smith, I'm 32, and this is how I found out my wife Ashlyn Reeves, the woman I built a life with, was sleeping with both my best friend and my little brother. And how I made sure they'd never forget what they did to me. Buckle up, because this story gets real. Let me take you back to the beginning, before the betrayal, before everything went up in flames. I met Ashlyn Reeves in college. I was a junior, she was a sophomore. She walked into one of those student leadership meetings wearing this navy blazer and black boots, confident like she ran the place. I remember thinking, damn, she's out of my league. But somehow we clicked. We were total opposites. I was more laid back, loved architecture, drawing buildings, sketching cityscapes during lectures. Ashlyn was all business. Organized, polished, sharp. But we had this spark, and once we started talking, it was like we'd known each other for years. She was charming in this effortless way. The kind of girl who could hold her own in any room, but still look at you like you were the only one there. And warm. She had that warmth that made you feel safe. We started dating a month later. Study dates turned into late-night drives. She'd bring me coffee during my all-nighters. I'd cook for her when she was too busy to eat. It was easy with her. Real easy. After about 8 months, I brought her home for Thanksgiving. That's when she met my family, including my little brother, Jackson McCall. Jackson was 19 at the time. Wild, loud, full of energy. He'd always been a bit of a show-off, always chasing girls and posting dumb stuff on social media. But he had a good heart. Or at least, I used to think he did. When he met Ashlyn, he couldn't stop talking about how cool she was. Said she was the most put-together girl he'd ever met. At first, I thought it was kind of funny, little brother crushing on my girlfriend. No big deal. But looking back now, the way he looked at her even back then, I should have picked up on it. I should have seen it. Anyway, fast forward a bit. Things got serious between Ashlyn and me. We moved in together right after I graduated. She got a job doing public relations for a local media firm. I got hired at a mid-sized architecture firm downtown. Life was finally clicking. That's also around the time she met my best friend, Kai Holt. Kai and I had been tight since freshman year of high school. We were those ride-or-die kind of friends. Got into fights together, studied for finals together, even road-tripped across states on a broken-down Jeep. We were brothers, even if we didn't share blood. And when Ashlyn came into the picture, I wanted her to be part of that circle. Kai met her at one of our barbecues. They hit it off right away, but not in a weird way. Kai treated her like family, joked with her, called her sis. He'd pull her in for hugs and say dumb things like, "You really putting up with this loser?" And she'd laugh and say, "Someone's got to keep him alive." Honestly, I felt lucky. My best friend and my girl were close. My brother and my girl were close. Life felt full. Solid. 2 years later, I proposed. It was nothing crazy. Just us on the rooftop of our apartment building with candles, fairy lights, and some homemade lasagna that I 100% burned. She said yes before I even finished my speech. We got married the following spring. A small, intimate ceremony in a garden Ashlyn found online. She wore this lace dress that made my heart stop. I couldn't stop crying. I'm not even embarrassed to admit that. Everyone there said they'd never seen a groom cry that much. Ashlyn kept whispering, "You're my forever," while we danced under those string lights. It felt like something out of a movie, like everything was finally falling into place. We honeymooned in Tulum. drank cheap cocktails, swam in cenotes, stayed up talking about our future until the sun came up. I really thought I'd found my person. But here's the thing. Some people can fake forever. Some people can smile through every lie, hold your hand while they're already planning their next move, with someone else. And in my case, 2 someone else's. Fast forward 5 years. Ashlyn and I are living in a beautiful 2-bedroom townhouse just outside the city. I'm working full-time as an architect. Long hours, big clients, deadlines that don't care if you sleep or not. Ashlyn's doing PR full-time from home. She loved it at first, the flexibility, the freedom. She could wear sweats, sip coffee, take Zoom calls barefoot. Seemed like a dream. At first. But then, things started to change. She started going out more. A lot more. It was subtle in the beginning. Girls' night on Fridays, brunch on Sundays, occasional client dinners on random Tuesday nights. And I mean, I didn't want to be that guy. The clingy husband asking a million questions. I trusted her. She never gave me a reason not to. At least, not yet. But I started noticing the little things. She stopped texting me back right away. Like, even during the day when I knew she wasn't on a call. She used to send me sweet stuff, little heart emojis, miss you texts, even memes. That stuff just disappeared. One night, I got home late from work. Project deadline had me at the office until 10:30, and I walked in to find her dressed up, makeup still fresh, heels on the floor by the door. She told me she had just gotten back from networking drinks with a client. Something about it didn't sit right. Why was she still in full glam at almost 11 p.m.? I asked her, "Did you eat? Want me to make you something?" She barely looked up from her phone. Just said, "I already grabbed sushi on the way back. I'm good." It was the way she said it. Like she was on autopilot. Like I wasn't even there. That night, she slept facing the other way. No goodnight kiss. No conversation. Just silence. A few days later, I brought it up to Kai. We were grabbing drinks after work, and I told him straight up, "Man, I don't know. Ashlyn's been distant. Like something's off." Kai took a sip of his beer and shrugged. "She's probably stressed. You guys have been at this for what, 6 years now? Maybe it's just a rough patch." That's the thing about trusting someone. You take their word for it. Even when your gut is screaming that something's wrong. Meanwhile, my little brother Jackson, he started showing up more and more. He'd crash at our place on weekends, claiming he didn't want to drive home drunk or that he was in the area. Sometimes he'd drop by when I wasn't even home. I remember one time coming home early from work, surprise half-day from the office, and finding him in the kitchen with Ashlyn. She was laughing at something he said. Like really laughing. The kind of laugh she used to only have with me. She jumped when she saw me. Like she didn't expect me to be there. I played it cool, but my stomach dropped. Something about that moment made my skin crawl. And then came the red flags I couldn't ignore. I'd find receipts in her purse for bars and restaurants I'd never heard of. Places we'd never been together. Overnight trips popped up with no warning. "Oh, it's just a last-minute client meeting in Austin," she'd say. "They need someone to do a brand launch on-site." Her phone, suddenly glued to her hand 24/7. She used to leave it lying around, never cared if I saw her screen. But now, she'd even take it to the bathroom. The second it buzzed, she'd turn it over. One night, I heard her talking softly on the balcony. When I opened the sliding door, she jumped and said, "It's just Lily. Girl talk." But her face told another story. And worst of all, one weekend, I came back from a solo camping trip, something I did now and then to clear my head. I got home earlier than planned and walked into the house expecting quiet. Instead, I heard voices, laughter, Ashlyn, and Jackson. She told me later he'd just dropped by to borrow something, and they were watching a show while waiting for me. But her shirt was inside out, and Jackson wouldn't even look me in the eye. You ever feel like your entire world is tilting and nobody else seems to notice? That was me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't being paranoid. Something was happening. I just didn't know what, yet. But I was about to find out. And when I did, it wrecked everything. It all came crashing down on a random Wednesday. I was knee-deep in a project at work when my phone buzzed. A text from my little sister, Lily. Super short. Super simple. But it hit me like a freight train. "Hey, I saw something weird. Thought you should know." My chest tightened. I called her immediately. She answered fast. Her voice was low, serious. "Clark." I didn't want to be the one to say anything. I kept telling myself maybe it wasn't what it looked like. But she paused. I saw Ashlyn and Jackson. They were together, in a car, outside that little bar off 9th Street. They were kissing. My world stopped. I remember sitting in my office chair, staring at the wall like my brain had just short-circuited. Kissing, I repeated. She said yeah. Not a hug. Not some mistaken moment. Kissing. Hands on each other. Faces close. The whole deal. I wanted to throw up. I wanted to scream. I wanted to break something. But instead, I said the only thing I could manage. Don't tell anyone else. Because even in that moment, even when every sign pointed to betrayal, I was still trying to convince myself there had to be some kind of explanation. Some mistake. Some reason. That night, I sat alone in our bedroom, lights off, just staring at the ceiling. Ashlyn was out. Drinks with the girls, supposedly. I called my buddy Nico Juarez. One of the only people I trusted at that point. We'd gone to college together. Chill dude. Always level-headed. I told him what Lily said. The text. The kiss. My gut feeling. Nico went quiet for a second, then said, "Clark, you know I love you, man. But something's off. Has been for a while. I don't want to say she's cheating without proof, but I'd start watching. Don't confront her yet. Just observe. Dig. Protect yourself." That stuck with me. Protect yourself. So I did something I'd never done in 6 years of marriage. I started paying attention. I started checking things. Ashlyn had this smartwatch she always used for her workouts. It wasn't locked. She never thought she needed to. One night, she left it charging in the kitchen before bed. I waited until she was asleep, and I picked it up. That thing gave me a front-row seat to her double life. There were 2 message threads that hit me in the chest like a sledgehammer. One contact just had a heart emoji. No name. The other, a fire emoji. Both full of flirty messages. "Miss you already kiss mark. You looked so good last night fire I can still taste you." My hands were shaking. I had to sit down. The heart emoji thread, that one had messages that lined up with dates I remembered her claiming to be with Lily or Kai's girlfriend. The fire emoji one had a nickname I recognized. "McCall me later winking face." Jackson's old Instagram handle. I was done. I wanted to scream. I wanted to wake her up and throw the watch in her face. But I didn't. Not yet. Because something in me snapped, not in rage, but in strategy. If she was doing this, if they were doing this, then I needed to be smart. I needed to be ready. And above all, I needed to catch them. Red-handed. Once I saw those messages on Ashlyn's smartwatch, I knew. This wasn't a maybe anymore. This was real. But even then, I needed more. Not because I didn't believe it. Trust me, I felt the truth in my bones, but because part of me wanted to see it with my own eyes. I wanted to know exactly who I was dealing with. So, I made a plan. There was this tiny security cam I'd bought during Black Friday last year. One of those discreet ones that look like a charger block. Never used it. Still in the box. That weekend, I waited for Ashlyn to be out at one of her client brunches. And I set it up behind the TV in our living room. Facing the couch. Perfect angle. Motion activated. Records to the cloud. And then, I told her I had a last-minute client presentation in Dallas. 2 nights. I said I'd be back late Sunday. She barely blinked. Just kissed my cheek and said, "Drive safe." That was the final nail. I packed a bag, left the house, and went straight to Nico's apartment. Told him everything. Showed him the smartwatch texts. He just said, "You're doing the right thing. But man, brace yourself." And I did. Or at least I thought I did. Because nothing could have prepared me for what I saw when I checked the camera feed. Saturday night, 10:14 p.m. Ashlyn walks in wearing a black silk robe. Hair down. A glass of wine in her hand. Then the doorbell rings. It's Jackson. He walks in like he owns the place. No hesitation. No guilt. He kisses her. Right there. In my house. My couch. I was gripping the edge of Nico's table, so tight my knuckles turned white. But it didn't stop there. 20 minutes later, the doorbell rings again. It's Kai, my best friend. I was shaking at this point. I didn't want to believe what I was seeing, but the video didn't lie. Kai comes in, laughs with them like they've done this a million times before. They sit, drink, flirt, touch. Ashlyn kisses Kai, while her hand is still on Jackson's leg. I watched in horror as it all unfolded. This wasn't just an affair. It wasn't just lies. It was betrayal from both sides. My wife, my brother, and my best friend. All 3 of them. Together. In my house. where we had our wedding photos hanging, where I built our future room by room. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just sat there, frozen, completely hollow. Nico was sitting across from me, silent, just watching me absorb it all. After a long minute, he finally asked, "What are you going to do?" And for the first time since everything started unraveling, I didn't feel helpless. I felt cold, clear, because now I wasn't guessing. I had proof. They made this personal, and I was about to make sure they remembered it for the rest of their lives. I spent the next 2 days in complete silence, planning everything. Not just what I was going to say, but how I was going to show it. I wasn't just confronting them. I wanted them to feel every ounce of what they'd done, every broken piece of trust, every second of humiliation they'd shoved down my throat. So I sent out the invites. A simple group message. Family dinner. Sunday night. 7 p.m. It's important. Ashlyn, Jackson, Kai, but also Lily, my sister, the one who first warned me. Nico, who helped me through every step. And Jessica Pope, my cousin, the one who used to babysit me and had always looked out for me like a big sister. Everyone confirmed. No one suspected anything. Ashlyn even kissed me that morning and said, "Glad we're doing something together again." I wanted to be sick. By 7 p.m., the house smelled like roast chicken and rosemary. Ashlyn had even made dessert. Fake smiles, fake laughs, like we were some picture-perfect family. We all sat around the table. Ate, talked, laughed at the most shallow stuff. But my eyes never left the three of them. They were relaxed, comfortable, like they had gotten away with it. And then came the moment. I stood up, lifted my glass like I was about to give a toast. Before dessert, I said, "I want to show you all something. Something important." I walked over to the TV, clicked the remote, and switched inputs. The screen lit up with the living room footage. It took a second for everyone to register what they were watching. Ashlyn, in the black robe. Jackson entering the house. Then Kai. Then the kisses. The touching. The three of them on my couch. The silence was suffocating. You could have heard a pin drop or a heartbreak. Ashlyn gasped, covered her mouth. Jackson pushed back from the table, pale as a ghost. Kai just whispered, "OF asterisk asterisk asterisk," and stood up. Then all hell broke loose. Ashlyn started crying instantly. "Clark, I can explain. I didn't know how to stop. I didn't want to hurt you." Jackson, like the coward he is, tried to twist it. "Clark, listen, man. It wasn't supposed to mean anything. It was a one-time thing at first. Then, I don't know, it just happened again." Kai didn't say a word. Just walked straight to the door. No apology. No explanation. Just left like a ghost. Jessica stood up and shouted, "You slept with his wife and let him call you brother? You're disgusting." Lily was in tears. "How could you do this to Clark? Jackson, he's your brother." Ashlyn got up, tried to come toward me. "Please, Clark, I made a mistake." I stepped back, and for the first time since this nightmare began, I spoke. But not with anger. Not with yelling. Just calm. I'd rehearsed it 100 times. "You were my world, and you shattered it." Her knees buckled. "I trusted you with my heart, with my dreams, my future. You looked me in the eye, married me, promised forever. And then you shared our bed with him, with them. You brought betrayal into the home I built for you." I turned to Jackson. "You weren't just my brother. You were my best friend growing up. I fought kids for you, took blame for you. And this is what I get." Then I looked at the chair Kai had left empty. And him? He was the family I chose. The one I thought had my back when life got ugly. But he had my wife instead. I looked back at Ashlyn. "I want you all out. Tonight. Don't call me. Don't text me. I'll be filing for divorce. And Jackson, don't ever step foot near me again. You're dead to me." She tried to speak, but her words came out in sobs. Nico walked over and put a hand on my shoulder. "You did it, bro. You handled it like a king." And honestly, I didn't feel like a king. I felt broken, but I also felt free. The truth was finally out. And now it was time to rebuild, without the liars, without the snakes, without the betrayal. Of course, here's Act 7, Fallout and Revenge, where everything unravels for them and Clark takes control of the aftermath. It's satisfying, emotionally powerful, and crafted to keep your viewers locked in. The night they walked out of my house, my life, felt like the longest night of my entire existence. But after that, everything moved fast. I went no contact. Blocked Ashlyn. Blocked Jackson. Blocked Kai. No explanations. No closure. Just silence. I owed them nothing. I slept at Nico's for 2 nights before heading back to the house, my house. And the very first thing I did when I got in, I opened my laptop and filed for divorce. No hesitation. The next step? Something Ashlyn probably didn't see coming. See, when you work in public relations, your entire career is about image, trust, relationships. And Ashlyn had some high-profile clients, companies that needed to look squeaky clean. I sent them the footage. No long message. Just a link. That was it. By the end of that week, 3 clients dropped her. By week 2, her agency put her on leave. I heard from a mutual friend that she was having panic attacks in her apartment and barely leaving the house. Actions. Meet consequences. As for Jackson, oh man, he had just graduated and was lined up to work at my firm. We'd talked about it for months. He'd shadowed me. I'd put in a good word with my partners. Not anymore. I walked into that Monday morning meeting and laid it all out for the board. Personal betrayal aside, there was no way I was mentoring a guy who disrespected his family and couldn't be trusted. They agreed. Offer revoked. Dream job. Gone. My parents were devastated. My mom cried when I told her. She begged me to forgive him. But my dad? My dad was stone cold. He made his choices, he said. He can live with them. That hit different. Now let's talk about Kai. You'd think disappearing that night would be the end of it. But I wasn't done. Remember how I mentioned Kai had a girlfriend? Olivia Bryan, gorgeous, kind, smart. She always called me brother-in-law as a joke. We'd actually double-dated a bunch of times. She thought we were this close-knit friend group, trusted us all like family. I couldn't let her be played like I was. So I forwarded her the screenshots, the texts, the video timestamp. No warning, just the truth. An hour later, she sent me a voice note. She was sobbing, absolutely wrecked. I had no idea. Thank you for telling me, Clark. I can't believe I almost married that man. She dumped him the same day, blocked him, cut him off. She even texted Ashlyn, called her a disgrace, told her she hoped she'd rot in the mess she created. I didn't have to lift a finger after that. The truth did all the damage for me. The group that thought they had it all, the secret hookups, the twisted fun, the lies, they got exposed. Ashlyn lost her career and her fake perfect image. Jackson lost the job and the last ounce of respect our family had for him. Kai lost his relationship, his reputation, and any place in my life. And me? I was still standing. Not just standing, rebuilding. Brick by brick. And trust me, they would have to live with what they did every time they saw me doing better without them. After everything blew up, I couldn't stay in that house, not with those memories on every wall. So I packed up a few essentials and moved in with my buddy Gunnar Copeland. Gunnar had been one of my closest friends in college. He was calm, solid, dependable, the kind of guy who didn't talk much but always showed up when it mattered. He gave me the spare room, no questions asked. I remember my first night there. I just sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, trying to make sense of how the people I loved the most had burned my world down, together. That's when Gunnar walked in and dropped one line that stuck with me. You didn't break. They did. You just caught the pieces. That's when I knew I needed help beyond my circle. So I started therapy. It wasn't easy at first, sitting there, unpacking years of trust, the weight of betrayal, all the what-ifs I kept carrying. But it helped. It helped me understand that the affair had been going on for over a year. An entire year of lying. While I planned trips, anniversaries, future homes, they were sneaking behind my back. And the most twisted part? They didn't even try to stop. But therapy also helped me stop blaming myself. Helped me realize that betrayal says everything about the betrayer and nothing about the person who got betrayed. I loved hard. I trusted deeply. I stayed loyal. They were the ones who couldn't meet me there. I started rebuilding, not just my space, but me. Went back to the gym. Picked up my guitar again. Took small road trips with Nico and Gunnar just to feel free again. Started cooking real meals instead of microwave sadness. And after a few months, once the dust had truly settled, I met someone. Diana Houston. Jessica introduced us randomly at a weekend barbecue. She was quiet, thoughtful, had this calm energy that felt like a warm blanket on a freezing day. She didn't pry. She didn't rush. She just listened. We started slow, coffee, walks, talking about everything but the past. And for the first time in a long time, I smiled without faking it. She made me believe that maybe not everyone was out to hurt me. That maybe, just maybe, there was life after betrayal. You know, people always say betrayal breaks you, that it ruins you. But here's the truth I've learned. Betrayal doesn't break you. It reveals you. It shows you who you are and who they never were. I was loyal. I was committed. I was ready to build a whole future with someone I thought was my forever. Turns out, she was just passing through. The red flags. They were there. The gut feeling. It screamed louder every month. But love makes you quiet those alarms. Makes you explain away what you don't want to believe. So if you're watching this, and you've got that nagging feeling in your chest, that something's off, don't ignore it. Because you don't deserve half-truths. You don't deserve silence. You deserve the truth. Even if it hurts. Even if it shatters everything. Because at least when it breaks, you know what you're standing on. I thought losing Ashlyn would be the worst thing to ever happen to me. Turns out, it was the best. It cleared the space I needed. Made room for real love. And it showed me something even deeper. That the people meant to stay in your life won't hide in the dark behind your back. They'll stand in the light next to you. And just when I thought the chapter was closed, a letter showed up in my mailbox. No return address. Just my name, written in handwriting I hadn't seen in months. It was from Ashlyn. Inside, a photo of her, pregnant, with a sticky note that said, "It's one of theirs. I don't know which." Yeah, some people write apologies. Others send bombs. Pause for impact. If that messed with your head like it did mine, drop a WTF in the comments right now. And hey, if you've ever been betrayed by someone you trusted, I want to hear your story. Comment, yes, if you believe cheaters always get exposed. And no, if you think they usually get away with it. Make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because I've got more wild stories that'll shake your soul and make you question everything. Until next time, stay smart, stay loyal, and never be afraid to burn the bridge that betrayal built.